This is our group's presentation of the Haitian Revolution. Our group involves myself, Tucker, Brett, Jameson, and Will. And
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
let's go. I'll be starting off with the seven main players. The first main player that I started with was Toussaint L'Ouverture. He was known as the Black Napoleon because he was he was the leader of the only slave revolt that was successful. He was born into slavery on May 20th, in 1743, and was eldest son of the African prince Guinan, however you say that. He gained trust from his leader, his owner, and his owner gave him personal access to his personal library because he was able to read and write and was impressed, and his plantation owner, Bayon de Libertad, was impressed by his understanding. He was taught how to read and write from his grandfather, Simon Baptiste, and he died in the castle of Hoix of April 7th, 1803. A couple of L'Ouverture's famous quotes were, "Equality cannot exist without liberty, and for the liberty to exist, we must have unity." The second quote says, "It will spring up again by the roots, for they are numerous and deep." He was in captivity when he said that. The second main player that I chose was Vincent Ogé. He was born free in Dondon in 1750 and traveled to gain freedom for the rest of the colored people in Haiti. He he started a revolt after being denied by the French governor, and he sent a plea to the French governor before that to let the slaves go out of freedom. After being defeated, he was convicted of treason and then got taken back to France. His punishment, which was taken place on the date of February 26, 1791, consisted of getting taken to the church to repent. Then, after he was taken there, he was taken to the La Place d'Armes, where they had his arms, legs, hips, and thighs broken with hammers. Then they tied him to a wheel, and he was left with his face turned upwards toward the sun till he died. After he died, they beheaded him and put his head on a pole near the main road, so anybody that did revolt after that would learn from his mistake. Soon, France wrote a law saying that any colored person born free remains free. Alright, the third main player I chose was Jean-François Papillion. He's important because he led the first revolt that started the Haitian Revolution. He was considered a principal leader in the Haitian Revolution. One time he slayed over 700 French civilians. He remained in the service of Spain and later retired to Cadiz, becoming governor of Oran. The fourth main player in the game was Léger Félicité Sonthonax. He was sent to Haiti to do two jobs. One, to enforce the new law France has recently created, and two, save Saint-Domingue from the slaves that have revolted. He successfully took back Saint-Domingue back from the slaves and did not stop the rebellions from happening, but contained it quite well. He also helped the slaves become free after a while of convincing, and then later on was sent back to France on the date of August 24th, 1797. The fifth main player that I chose was André Rigaud. His role during the Haitian Revolution was that he was the military leader for the slave side. After he was defeated, he was arrested in 1800 and then taken to France in 1802. he was arrested several times and went back to Haiti 3 times out of those. Uh, he was sent back to Haiti for Charles Leclerc's expedition in 1802 to gain French control back of Saint-Domingue. Uh, he gained presidency for a short time and then died after his last mission. The sixth main player that I chose was Alexandre Pétion. He was sort of a mentor, or André Rigaud was sort of a mentor to Alexandre Pétion, and he fought for France, but led a revolt against them at one point, becoming the first one to oppose his starting side. He later becomes president of Saint-Domingue in 1816, and then he struggled against his own people, he and his regime, against Christophe and other generals he controlled. The seventh main player that I chose was Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He adopted his last name when Haiti gained their freedom back from France. When he ran away from his owner, he met up with Francois and another man on the mountain near his plantation, along with more trained free slaves. He soon ended up fighting for L'Ouverture at Saint-Domingue with the Spaniards and proved to be an outstanding soldier. He was a ferocious leader and bloodthirsty monster because of his punishments that he received as a slave, such as getting whipped, that he put into play with the people he captured. He is considered the second greatest Haitian hero, and Toussaint L'Ouverture was considered the first.
Alright, it's my turn. Name's Tucker Neil Kennedy, to be exact. I'm doing the main events of the Haitians, and go ahead and get this done. Alright, the first event I'm going to be doing is the Rebellion of 1790. Now, the Rebellion is one of the main event all the Haitians of all their events. It's really the only one that really had a ginormous impact because they finally got to develop their own country. Alright, the rebellion was mainly led by Vincent Ogé and Jean-Baptiste Chavannes and started in Saint-Domingue. That's just, where it started. But by 1804, Haitian slaves formed their own country away from the French. That's sort of the why it's called it's known as a main event, because as they rebelled, it sort of helped them develop as a country and form their new country away from the French. Alright, this is part 2. The reason that they rebelled because the slaves were upset about the way they were treated. They didn't appreciate being ruled, and they really wanted just to form their own country. And that's why they came up with the rebellion, so they can get away from the French. The rebellion was also for civil rights. Civil rights, plain state. They fought against armies like Napoleon's, because Napoleon wanted to step in. To show how unhappy they were, and to make a statement, they burned down a lot of the factories. They also, in some cases, they burned down fields. They burned the crops and fields. They caused so much chaos for the French. The French almost was thinking about ending slavery entirely. They were almost considering just ending it. I didn't find it exact why they wanted to end it. They didn't end it at the time, but it was so huge, and it made such a big deal that they almost ended it. And to finish off the rebellion, is the main reason they did it is because one, to form their new country. 2, because they didn't appreciate the way the French were treating them. Next slide. The last event that I did is that the Civil War that they were involved in is from 1807 to 1820. One of the main reasons they did it is because they were involved in it because, well, that was right after they formed their own country, so people just had problems with them. The reason the Civil War was such a big deal is because, and it's such a big event for them, is because, one, they were unprepared. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have anything that they needed to really fight in a war, but they had the the courage, the bravery to do so. And like I said, they were some of them were uneducated. Some of them couldn't read books. A lot of them couldn't write, but they knew how to work and they knew how to give their 100% because they worked in the fields and they were a successful bunch. They were just broke, didn't have the resources that they needed, and sort of made them at a huge unfair advantage. And that would be the last event that I could find that really affected the Haitians. And well, that's it for the main events.
All right, now we got the causes of the Haitian Revolution.
His name is Peanut.
Yeah, that's right. The Haitian Revolution was mainly a rebellion against slavery. Many slaves, felt for a long time that they wanted to be freed, but they didn't know what to do. So they revolted. They were considered property of the public, and the biggest reason for the revolt was the unequal rights, unequal freedoms. It was mainly caused by a revolutionary turmoil that was occurring in France. But their economy prospered due to the slaves, but the slaves felt that wasn't fair, that they were making money off of them. They tried to declare rights, the Society of Friends of Blacks, but that was denied, so the colored people started a rebellion.
All right, my name is Will Cisco, and my topic is about the results. About the results of the Haitian Revolution, and here we go. A major result from this revolution was the effects it had on different countries, and more importantly, it had a major effect on Jamaica because it led to one of their revolutions. And the reason they were scared was because Haiti, gave the Jamaicans and Americans a very, they gave them inspiration that they could, in fact, have a slave rebellion and win it. And back in the day, people didn't think that was even possible to go against their landowners and do something except work in the farms and work for them. Yeah, the Haitian Revolution had a very big impact on the Jamaicans. It made their landowners feel like their slaves could actually revolt against them and actually win. Landowners felt very unsafe, and they felt like the slaves were planning a revolution. And the turnout, actually the slaves did have weapons and everything to revolt, but luckily landowners, came together and finally compromised on a plan so that the lifestyle of slaves, was a whole lot different, and they could go about, lives, very differently. And in the long run, this may sound crazy, but after the revolution, Saint Domingo had a very, very bad revolution. It was very violent, and in result, Jamaica still had slaves, so they started making more profit because they had slaves to sell. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Jameson Blackwell, and I'm doing the results of the Haiti Revolution. Some of the results were it left the country in shambles because all the crops were destroyed, the economic was terrible, and a lot of the skilled people of Haiti, they had been killed. The slaves that were still alive, they didn't want to work in a plantation for someone else. They wanted their own land. And they were also scared that that the French would reinvade again. The source of wealth, which was sugar, coffee, spices, and indigo, was ruined due to the slave rebellion, the war that had been raging on for some time. Nothing was being grown because the slaves, they didn't want to work in the fields, so the economic was terrible. Since slave trade closed, Haiti's government was ruined. Government became ruled by a small elite group, the exact opposite of what they had planned to do. They wanted representation of the people, like the American Revolution. Now, the dirty time trace. This is my last one.